I'm joined today with the legendary Richard Palfrey. He's an Iron Man coach, he's a war veteran, and he's also a super cool dude. So if you could, Rich, could you just introduce yourself? You're welcome. What you do and who you are.
Okay, thanks by the way for this opportunity. It's nice to talk to you because we've been friends online for, I would say, pushing 10 years.
Yes.
But we've never actually talked as face to face as we're going to get because I'm living in the Middle East.
Yes.
Okay, my origin. I'm 39, despite the fact I look a bit older because of the fluff. I've been living in the Middle East now for nearly 14 years. Prior to that, I'm from Devon originally. I joined the military at 18. I wanted to be a pilot in the Air Force, but I'm 6'4" and I'm a rugby player, so that was a no-no. And I initially entered as a jet engineer. Got towards the end of the university side of that before I realised I love the military, but the engineering side of it, unless I'm on R&D, not for me. It just doesn't inspire me. So I did some sort of shopping around for possible different trades, and I transferred to the RAF Regiment, which is the Air Force's own infantry corps, I suppose you'd call it that. And during the course of that, the unit I spent 4.5 years with and deployed to Iraq and other places with was the British Nuclear, Biological and Chemical Warfare Unit, which do all kinds of interesting things, which I won't bore you with, because that got me working under the army and with different countries and all that kind of stuff. Before I went back to my badge on the latter part of my career. And during the latter part of my career, I'd always been super fit, but I was reaching my mid-20s, and unfortunately, as you get older, you lose the ability to bounce. So injuries started occurring. Broken arm, fingers, toes, brain hemorrhage, damaged my back, all in the space of about 2 years. So I've been super fit and I've been super broke. You know, the brain hemorrhage thing was a complete stand down in duties for about 3 months to clarify recovery, safety, all that kind of stuff. And not long after that, I, against my girlfriend's wishes at the time, went back to playing rugby. And I smashed up my shoulder, and that took me nearly a year to recover from.
Wow.
So I've been rehabbed through all that, and I got to know my physio, my hydrotherapist, and my doctors quite well. So I spent 2 months in private hospital in the military headley court unit, going through all the various things you can imagine. You know, all the kinds of physiology you have to consider, the joints, tendons, ligaments, the knock-on effect of having a major joint out of use, the effect it causes on your spine for adaptation, all of that stuff. And I was fascinated. I couldn't get my head around how much I wanted to learn this. So coming towards the end of my military career, being nearly 27 as I was at the time, I was like, okay, right, no mortgage, no kids. If I want to go and study something now, it's the opportune time, because I've got no other commitments. I can just set up shop, university level education, go crazy. So using the money I was entitled to after serving 9 years, got out, put my time and effort into up to level 3 qualifications as a therapist, as a trainer. I didn't know if I was going to work as a therapist. My rationale for doing that was I can't ever have too much information. It's one thing to learn the applicable skill set as a trainer and a coach, but if you're working with an individual or a group or an athlete, if there's something wrong, you've got to hand them off to someone else, which means they now lose their coach. So I thought, at the very least, if I work with someone down the line who needs a therapist and I'm not qualified in that field, I can at least work with them and understand and keep the journey going, rather than go, oh shit, sorry dude, that's 3 months out. Go and sort your knee, go and look at your back, you know, and manage with the professionals in question. So it's whilst I was finishing my therapy qualifications, a buddy of mine who just had a job at Fitness First in Dubai, and sent me a message going, have you finished qualifying yet? Literally, last few exams coming up. Right, okay, they're qualifying, they're recruiting in the UK at the moment. They've got interviews next week. Email this place, this office. They might offer you an interview, but you're in Bath studying. You're going to have to get to London on your own dime. I was like, oh shit, out of the military, no salary, what am I going to do? So I set up the money, went down for the interview, got offered the job, and I thought, cool, great. My mother was very tearful on hearing the news, because she was like, I've lost him for the last 9 years. I might have him back for a period of time. It's like a phone call. Hi, Mum, I just graduated. Yeah, bye, I'm out the door. I'm out on a plane in a few weeks. So moved over to Dubai thinking, all right, for the last 6 months, it's my intro to the industry. Do I like it? Do I not? no harm done. It'll be an experience, and I'll get to see another part of the world. And that was 14 years ago.
Wow, there we go.
So worked for them for about 10 months. I've worked setting up several gyms shortly after that. And then I started getting higher tier clients while I was working independently, which is not easy to do. I know the popular tabloid-driven consensus is you're living in Riyadh, or well, not Riyadh, but Abu Dhabi, Dubai. Everything's big and shiny. Everyone drives Lamborghinis. You know, you've got oil wells in your back garden, all that kind of stuff. It's not the case, trust me.
Yeah.
So I started getting this kind of inquiry, that kind of inquiry. And someone said, "Hey, do you want to come to the racetrack, the motor racing circuit here? I've got, my guys racing the superbike races weekend. Come as my guest." Yeah, no worries. So I had a chat with the guy in the pits. He's like, "I've got this issue in my back. Do you think you'd help me out?" I was like, "Are you in a rush?" Went, "No, I've got 3 hours." Okay, fine. In the back of my Jeep is my massage table. So I'm not kidding you. I set up a therapy session in the pits of a international level sports circuit.
Oh, that's so cool.
And other riders. So, what's that guy doing? So things took off from there, and 3 months later, I think our client from that, I got a phone call saying, "Can we hire you for the weekend?" You can do, but how many hours? No, we want to hire you for 3 days.
Wow.
And it was to work as a therapist for a GT motorsport event for the drivers and the mechanics. And things grew and grew from there to the point where I had my own business. I was quite happily living a life, and I took an offer to go work in Saudi Arabia for a couple of years. Ended up being about 18 months. And I met my wife, oddly, coming back here for a weekend for a change of scene. And I've decided to try and do the same again. I'm just about now to start work with a company that specialises through rehab and triathletes. So I'm diversifying my skill set again. Sorry to waffle on a bit, so you know now where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
So I have my quote-unquote normal population clients, which every trainer needs, which I love, because if that's 12 clients in a few days, that's 12 personalities. That's what we're all about, is individual journeys and success. But then I have the likes of one of my older ladies who's in her 40s, who came second in the Ironman the start of this year. That's for someone who I can go, right, I can just solely focus on, because I'm not an Ironman coach for her. All I work on is her biomechanics. She comes in and goes, "My ankle's a bit stuck, I'm feeling a bit whatever here." Okay, that's this week's gym work. That's all we work on. She goes off, she swims like a lunatic, she runs like a lunatic. She comes and sees me and goes, "Right, fix me." And that's all I get paid for in that regard, but that's part of the reward of the job, as you know.
Yeah.
And there we are, we're up to date. That's pretty much where I am right now.
Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. Very interesting journey, Richard. Yeah, so in terms of that then, it sounds like you've done a wealth of experience. In terms of that as well, I did want to go off now that we are in the present moment with your journey as well.
Sure.
Yeah, in terms of your YouTube channel, I found it really, really compelling, and I found a lot of your videos very interesting, because it isn't just the stereotypical bodybuilding, eat 6 meals a day. It goes quite beyond that, and I'm very interested about that.
Yeah.
The title alone, if we maybe start there, the actual title of your channel, Fitness Without a Filter, could you maybe tell us the inspiration behind that title?
Sure. I think you probably gather, because let's say you and I have been in contact for such a long period of time, that it's not that I don't have any sense of diplomacy, shall we say, but I tend to try and cut through a lot of the bullshit when it comes to professional representation and conversation, because I don't want to sell someone the thought, the dream, the idea that isn't what we're going to deliver or what we're going to experience. So when I was looking around for what to call the channel, there's so much content out there right now. I thought, okay, short, concise, what is this going to be about? And I've not really got too much content at the moment, but I'm gradually adding to it. And I thought, okay, fitness covers rehab and health and everything else. And what am I generally told by the wife? You've got no filter. Oh, there we go. And then that went from there. So it was a case of put that together and run with that. And it's sort of been the same with the titles. I could make things very wordy, but of course that doesn't get attention.
Yep.
So it's a case of, right, what is this topic about, and what's the point of the video, and just make it as concise as possible. And like I say, that's what you get caught by.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. In terms of that, I do want to go through some of your material as well.
Sure, far away.
Particularly, what I noticed you'd mentioned, mentioned before about that fitness in and of itself and bodybuilding isn't necessarily the same thing. And I've felt this for a very long time, and I'm very interested by bodybuilders because I like their psychology and the lifestyle that comes with. But I want to kind of breach out of that a little bit and try and go into new territory. And could you maybe describe the differences between the two, bodybuilding and fitness?
Sure. Fitness, in the current context, in my mind, if you say the word fitness to 10 different people, you'll get 10 different definitions. Fitness is just an ability to do something, or not, as the case may be. It's essentially, across the whole term, it's a work capacity. Can you carry this? Can you run like this? Can you lift this? Can you jump that? Depending on who the individual is. So that needs to tend to be specified in the individual instance, because that's what fitness is. Are you fit at this task or not, as the case may be? Bodybuilding is essentially the over-focus on training cross-sectional volume of a muscle body. Let's take biceps, for example. All right. If your muscle body is that big in diameter, your only interest for your biceps is, I want to go from this big to this big to this big.
Yeah.
And I don't care how many hours it takes. I don't care what the calorie and protein consumption I have to take to build that, because I'm going to do the cutting for the water and the body fat afterwards. Yeah. That is my focus. So you'll see guys that will go to the gym and go, hey, today's legs. And I'm going to do 3 hours on the leg press and the hamstring curl. That is in no way functionally useful. The person doing that, it's for a tissue dimension change. And that's it. And unfortunately, I think the emergence of public opinion on what is causing a lot of body dysmorphia and lack of understanding when it comes to, I want to get healthy, I'll starve to a six-pack. Not healthy. I want to look good, I'll just cane my arms for 6 weeks before the summer holidays. You're still the same you. You're still going to have the same gut. You're just going to fill out your t-shirt sleeves a bit differently. So the clarity, I think, is merged a bit too much for the benefit of the general population.
Yeah, love that, Rich. Yeah, and in terms of that, you mentioned something then as well about body dysmorphia. How do you think the whole, fitness Instagram influencers influence body dysmorphia? Because you often see a lot of people who have that kind of the kind of gold standard aesthetic, 8-pack or a big ass if it's a girl. Do you think that is a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a negative, but not necessarily for the clickbait reasoning that you might see in the tabloids. If you turn around and you say, here's my Instagram, here's my ass, here's my 6-pack, here's my chest, whatever, and you are completely blatantly honest about what you did to have that look.
Yeah.
Hey guys, guess what? I spent 6 years on steroids. I've been photoshopped and spray tanned, and this is a green screen behind me. That doesn't transmit any kind of falsehoods because you know the individual behind it. I still look good, if that's your goal. Same when it comes to the girls. You can exercise to gain a bigger backside. You don't need Photoshop and a Brazilian butt lift and everything else. But hey, it's easier just to lie and pretend, and unfortunately that does create a false image. When everything becomes all about aesthetics, as social media is now, because you don't see context and explanations in most Instagram feeds. You see a tile, you see a square, and what do you do to get attention? Do you want to put a caption that comes from an essay you wrote about something to do when you're at college? Or if you're after 3.5 million followers in 6 months, here's me in a thong, bent over.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the interest coming from? If you want to get known for your brains, you've got to work damn hard, and you've got to work within the industry that you're in to portray that information. If you want to gain some attention and get the money for the advertising, you may need some intellect to understand how social media works, but you don't have to be genuine about, here's what my intellect is. I think that's the message that goes out to vulnerable people and the younger generations, especially young ladies. Let's face it, that is the thing. I think it's more a factor now in younger guys, but it's always traditionally been women that suffer the dysmorphia issues. Not so much, and I have had disagreements with this in the past with people, I don't think it's driven by men. I think Women want to be attractive, and most women are looking at male attention if they're after attention. But the fashion industry, the beautician industry, the cosmetics industry, that's driven by women. Last time I checked, all the major editors for all the fitness magazines, all the lifestyle magazines for women, certainly in the UK, higher staff are all women. So when it comes out of, oh, you should look like this, you should buy these products, you should have this size waist, you should have the thigh gap, you're not coming to the guys in the pub and asking us that. Or at the rugby pitch and go, hey, what would you like? Imagine you're 18 now and you were thinking, what's my ideal woman? Woman, you're not informed, you're 18, you're a lad. You don't turn around and go, oh, I want her to have this real neurotic self-image and be really obsessed by what she thinks I think she looks like.
Yeah.
You don't say that. You go, I want her to be healthy and fun and vibrant. That's what the guys want.
Yeah.
But if you then ask a woman in her 30s, what did you think growing up? What do you had to look like? Oh, well, I was always told if you don't look like this, if you don't have this kind of relationship, if you don't live in this kind of house before you're 25. It all accumulates from a lot of different positions, but it comes to the same thing of advertising requires you to feel less than, so you buy what's going to make you up to. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. Love that, Rich.
And especially when it comes to fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely agree with that as well. I do think as well, I don't know if it's in a sense slightly different for men in the sense that for me when I was younger, and still grapple with it. I always get kind of almost like six-pack envy sometimes. I'm like, and I'm like, I know intuitively that for me it's just not practical having that low of a body fat for the sake of having a low body fat percentage. Yeah. And then you'll see someone in Instagram with an 8-pack who's getting all this attention, and you're like, and I have to be very centered and be not envious and get 8-pack envy, because it's for me it's just not practical. Not get me wrong. I would say I would have a healthy body fat percentage, and that is far more maintainable for me to gain more strength, psychology wise and eating wise, having a metabolic capacity, if you want to call it that, so I can eat a lot of food and not have this burden of like, oh, I need to be at this certain weight all the time. And then you mentioned then the neuroses that comes with that. Do you feel that maybe more so with men with the whole 6-pack craze and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a case of, oh, if only I could look like that, maybe my life would be better. Maybe I would feel happier, or I'd achieve this level of contentment that I don't currently have. It's filling a void that becomes cyclic. I don't feel good about myself. I'm going to follow this person on social media. I'm going to buy this supplement. I'm going to do this workout. And do you get there? Do you not? Do you look at the next supplement? Do you look at the next personality on Instagram? And it goes round and round and round. Like you said, you're much happier an individual when you find what works for you. I mean, the kind of ethos that I have behind dealing with new clients, and I'm taking on one a day on average at the moment, is whatever we do has to be relatable to you. It has to be real world, realistic, and attainable. If you come to me and go, okay, right, I'm a 55-year-old woman, I can train 3 times a week, and guess what? I'm not giving up wine. Not an uncommon set of circumstances. Or the similar age, similar circumstances for a guy, I'm not giving up the beer. Okay, fine. Here's what your routine's going to be for the gym. Here's what you're going to do outside of the gym, but not sitting on your ass. Mm-hmm. And we are going to maintain your nutrition and the allowances of alcohol to a degree where you can still achieve your goal. That's the kind of criteria that someone could go, hey, you know what? That'll work. Yeah. And I'm not fixating on something. But I've not seen many pictures of you with your shirt off because we're not in that kind of relationship. But, you haven't sent me week by week pictures of yourself with your shirt off going, I wish I could look like this person, but here's what I look like. Well, that would be a very unhealthy relationship to have with yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if you go, right, okay, here's what I think looks kind of good, and I'm going to be athletic and strong and manage my food for the betterment of my lifestyle. If I get there, great. If I feel good about myself, that's good enough. I'm fine with that. And that's, I think, the detachment that gets lost in younger and younger men now.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you see, it used to be a case of like the workhorse trainer who, I'm going to spend 15 years in the gym as a personal trainer without any ambition of owning my own place, but I like the job. Typically, they've got big arms and a big chest, but unless they're on the gear because they're coming down for a competition and cutting like crazy, they're a bit of a lump.
Yep.
Whereas now, the aesthetic for most personal trainers is I'm going to try and maintain as lean a body as I can all year round, because I think I have to be credible.
Yeah.
And if you can't achieve it, you're slacking off. You're not putting in the work. Perhaps try taking this, try sticking this in your arm, whatever it might be. You have to look like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And and I'm sure women 20, 30 years ago didn't have to worry about what mindset their fella had about what he looked like.
Yeah, absolutely.
If he was well dressed, they were happy.
Yeah.
But nowadays, the neurosis can go both sides of a relationship.
Yeah. We want to catch on to what you said there, Rich, actually. Yeah. It's interesting. It's kind of like within the kind of, just to say how it is, the bodybuilding context. If you're not like 5% body fat, you're immediately overweight. That's like almost the standard. You mentioned about as well the credibility as a trainer. I used to have, when I first started, that very same conflict of desires. It's like, do you get super ripped so everyone thinks you're super credible, or do you promote yourself as someone who is, transparent, authentic, who has you are in shape, like you mentioned, not just physically in terms of your aesthetics, but and for me personally, and it's like, even the other day on me and my girlfriend's anniversary, we're having a takeaway. So you need to really start posting stuff that you have this, because everyone gets the impression that you just eat chicken, broccoli, brown rice all the time. and I was like, I resisted it so much at first, but I was like, she's so right in saying that, and I did post it because I think a lot of people see, like we mentioned about body dysmorphia, and seeing these, Photoshop pictures of people with 8-pack abs and this and that. People say the highlighted reel and not the behind the scenes, what it took to get that.
Absolutely.
And all this sacrifice and neurosis and anxiety and the Photoshop and whatever else. So, so I'm glad you've mentioned that, Rich. In terms of that as well, I'm going to go on a bit of a side tangent. Going on to the YouTube side of it. I know you mentioned it on your channel about after the virus, what we can maybe expect, or at least some predictions. Is there going to be a fitness resolution? Or revolution even?
Actually, I don't know if you just saw. I know the video you're referring to. I literally about 3 hours ago put an update out, a comment on that and where we are now as opposed to where we were in April when I posted that video. Yeah. I think at the moment like I say, things are just starting to tailor down a little bit here. I don't know what it's quite like in the UK regarding the fitness industry, because I only catch what I see on the news and I don't watch TV, so it's filters in through messages and friends.
Yeah.
I would like to think that the current obsession with, I wish I could go for a walk, or, now I can go for a walk, whether the gym's going to open, I would like to think that enough of the population has now geared up to the idea of, I probably should be healthier in my own lifestyle for my benefit. Never mind the dress size or the waist size, never mind the arms or the six-pack. I could be a bit healthier. And it's taken something, unfortunately, like a viral pandemic to make people realise, do I live a healthier life? But guess what? I can't go to a gym now. But I can still sort out what I eat. I can exercise at home. That's why I was posting workouts and things on my Instagram and stuff. I belong to a few expat groups around this part of the world, so I was putting up this workout, that workout. I was running the odd free class on Zoom. In part because I had the time to do so, but also there are people going, I can't do anything, I'm stuck at home. I sent 3 of my clients TRXs and said, right, you are now not sitting on your ass, you're going to train at home.
Yeah. And
I'm going to send you the programming to make sure you maintain a degree of fitness. A couple of them I said, right, go on Amazon, the local version, not the international one, because we get stuff from different suppliers from this part of the world. Right. Or yourself a 20-pound sandbag that you fill up in sections rather than the whole. So you don't start with 30 kilos, you can start with 10. And you can keep a degree of motivation. I would like to think that awareness in social health, not fixation, but awareness, carries forward. I mean, there are going to be some people who went, I did this because I was bored shitless. And that's inevitable. That's every January, February, coming to March, Yeah. But I'd like to think there are some people who went, I've really been missing the idea I can take charge of my own health, so I'm now going to do it. I'd like to think that continues. It won't for everybody, but again, that's the same with every sort of factor we wish people would do. But I'd like to think we see some of the population go, you know what, I am going to address my health. I am going to do a bit more work with the kids on the weekend, just go outside and play around. It benefits me. Little things like that, because let's face it, the world needs it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That would be my hope for 6 months down the line.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that, Rich, as well. Yeah, very interesting.
No worries.
Yeah, and I definitely found what you just said very, very true. I mean, I got to the point with myself where the gyms had shut, and I think a lot of my clients were like, "What are we going to do?" Because one of my clients, Angela, who's an absolute godsend. She's I can't remember her age. I probably shouldn't say her age. Actually, saying that. But we got to the point where I really honed in with a client, and the like, just as you know, I have a vast array of different goals, multitude of different goals, different fitness capacities and stuff like this. And the main thing with Angela is we started out predominantly trying to lose weight, and we started doing the weight training. Said, Josh, I really don't like this. I hate it. She said, I'd rather you try and do something. And we tried to modify a few things, and we did like kind of the bare minimal. We didn't do any barbell work, didn't do any dumbbell work eventually. It was just mainly things like weighted ropes, kettlebells, just little incorporation, ski machines and stuff like this, row machine, small amounts of resistance. And I said, my main goal for you, Angela, would be really cool if you could do maybe one of the boot camp classes, which is just a big circuit at the end, and just see if we can do it for half an hour. We did all this training, and then lo and behold, the virus happened, and I was just like, oh my god. But we managed. I said, I still want to do this boot camp with you because we've done all this training, and we went outside to do one. And then not long after that, it went full lockdown mode, and people say you need to socially distance now. You can't do these circuits outside. And only just recently we can bring them back in. And yeah, she had managed to do this boot camp class with myself, and it took so long to get to that level. And then we're doing these boot camp classes outside and stuff like that. And I think one of my clients had actually said it's almost like a reset for humanity, the lockdown. And I really like that. And I think you allude to that on one of your videos, saying it's like 2020 2.0 or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember the original point I was getting at with Angela now, but something to the effect of that we've had to really improvise and get, fair to say, quite creative. And to the point, even myself at one point, if I remember correctly, I'm sure I did 12 classes in a week on Zoom to try and say, no, there's really no excuses here. We know we can do something as long as we get creative enough. Have you found that with your own clients, Rich, that you've just had to get very innovative and creative?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's if you've got the desire to stay doing what you're doing, you will make it work. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times where I've just gone, oh, for fuck's sake, what am I doing? But at the same time, like I said, if you want to make it work, you will work. I mean, and that's the only way around it. You go, like you said, Zoom. Hey, guess what? Between Zoom and Skype and a few other things, you can now connect with everybody, and you can do it as a group. You know, if you turn around and go, oh, you know what? I've always wanted to exercise, but I don't have the time. Well, guess what? It's lockdown. No school run, no commute, no grocery shop, at least reduced grocery shopping, depending on where you live in the world. You've now got, if you've not got the school run or commute, that's half an hour of your day, the start of the day, and the end of the day. If I take an hour of your day 5 days a week, that's now free, 15 hours. 15 hours. No, I'm not doing shit. 5 hours, sorry, my brain today. 5 hours in a working week, right? You can find 3 hours out of that 5 hours to do some exercise. Or maybe you do half an hour a day for 5 days. And we're not talking trying to build Mr. Olympia. Just go through some basic body weight stuff. Push, pull, elevation change, carry. Little things, use the muscle groups, use the joints for your own benefit. You know, I had 6 ladies last week on Zoom, one in their homes doing a TRX class, because we'd done 3 weeks and we built them up. I said, right, okay, we're going to have some fun today. It's Thursday, end of the week session. What do you mean? Okay, right. I've now got on my iPad, you can't see, a whole number of exercises, 20 in total. I'm going to point to one of you and go, right, give me 2 numbers between 1 and 20. First lady does that. Here's a coin. Heads or tails? One of the exercises is tails, one's heads. This. Okay. 45 seconds. Go. Whole group. Next one. You. Heads or tails between the 2 numbers. Okay. And just did that for blocks of 10 minutes to give them a session. They couldn't predict. Well, are you going to get 3 core exercises in a row? Are you going to get plyometrics? So they're going, doing all this. Really tiring. They enjoyed themselves. They worked their whole body. And they had a session that was unique to them, that will never be repeated. Just little things like that. They were like, holy shit, that was really hardcore. But they enjoyed it.
There you go, yeah.
You know, it doesn't have to be rocket science to be productive and fun. And if it becomes boring, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Simple as that. I won't stand on my balcony and skip for 45 minutes because it would bore the shit out of me. You know, it's simple as that.
Yeah.
The same reason I never run on treadmills. If I can't run outside, I don't run. It's got to be what's going to work.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, so it sounds like in the same kind of sense, Rich, that you were. It's interesting. That sounds like a really sick game to play in terms of keeping fit.
Oh yeah, I've got a few of them like
that. Yeah, love that. And yeah, using Zoom, such a powerful tool to still get this training in, and just you mentioned about skipping, like with yourself. Then, in terms of like with your own training, what kind of stuff are you doing at the moment just to stay in shape in lockdown?
Okay. At the moment, I was, until about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was going for the odd jog in the evenings. And I was doing bodyweight stuff in my apartment. I've got TRX, I've got a couple of sandbags and a kettlebell, so I would vary what I was doing. Single leg strength, a lot of core work. But I say core work, I term that as core for me is three-dimensional. So that'll be flexion, extension, lateral work, transverse bits and pieces. So you don't neglect one area, and just varying what I was doing. And then the temperatures started to build up in the last few weeks, so it's no longer fun to run in the Middle East with a mask around your face. so I stopped doing that, as it is now, because the regulations have just changed and gyms are open and private spaces can open with a reduced capacity. I've gone back to, I've got full access to our gym, because the space I work from is private by appointment. So because we have that controlled access, we still have all the measures in place for hygiene. People wear masks when they're in there. You can't use change rooms for showering, just for the bathroom and to change your gear, all that kind of stuff, and then you leave. So I'm back to almost a normal routine. I don't know what the rules will be in the UK when they open up the gyms, but we've got the whole, each little area segmented off. We restructured the gym prior to the rules changing, so that every space has a squat rack, row machine, rollers, medicine balls, kettlebells, and anything that you don't have, you set up prior to the client arriving.
That's cool.
So there's mini gyms inside the gym, and I just take over one of those for an hour when I'm in the gym.
Awesome, yeah. It's interesting because I feel as though, even though we have never spoken, you've always kind of been in the back of my head. You've been a very fascinating character to me.
Right. I can spell trouble.
Yeah. Because with myself, I did feel very early on, until I met a few people like yourself who were very kind of, the real, fitness orientated, the athleticism and being cardiovascularly in shape, strong, flexible. I want to talk about rehabilitation in a second as well.
Sure.
It was always kind of in the back of my head because I always felt it was so one-dimensional with bodybuilding. Even though I do love it, I do generally really enjoy it. I think ever since, particularly when I had injured my rotator cuff in 2011, 2010 maybe, I felt as though with the kind of bodybuilding training, the lighter weight, high repetition work, it didn't aggravate my shoulder as much, so I've always kind of kept it in. I don't know if that's because I'm a very naturally lanky and wiry person, that I just seem I'm very well suited to that kind of higher rep, lighter weight training. I did find though, from watching your stuff, I always felt, oh god, I'm sure if Rich was my trainer, he would not be impressed if I was to just keep doing this high rep work. So I've since meeting you and seeing your work and stuff like that, I've always kind of kept a level of fitness where I do more circuit training now. I wouldn't say I'm particularly very physically strong, but I do some low rep training when I'm at the gym and stuff like that. So yeah, so thank you for that, Rich.
No problem.
Yeah, you're actually welcome. Yeah, and in terms of that, with the actual lockdown now as well, can you see anything happening in terms of like people doing weird programs to get back in shape? And because I noticed you mentioned about people sell these kind of air quote lifestyle packages and these cheap quick fix programs. Can you see that kind of being like a post-virus thing?
I think, to be honest, what we're going to experience, maybe it'll be August, September, when things are more normal than quarantined, when the threshold's been crossed. I'm fairly confident we're going to see a January reimagined. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's going to be a case of, lose your quarantine pounds in 30 days, detox with boom bods, the corona friendly version, whatever it might be. All that shit is coming down the pipeline, and then it's only going to be 3 or 4 months till Christmas, and it repeats again.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing more repetitive and non-productive outside of fitness apart from politics. Because it's going to be a case of, right, what do we sell this time around? knowing full well we don't actually want it to succeed because you've got to be a repeat customer in a few months. So yeah, it's cynical. I know at 39 I can be cynical, but that is going to hit because, believe it or not, I have clients, not many, but I have a couple of clients that basically went lockdown. I'm working from home, and they've got quite high-end jobs, which didn't take much of a hit with this, so they've been working their ass off at home. But I know for a fact they have sat on their asses for the last 9.5 weeks. And one has been quiet about it, one has been completely blatantly honest about it, but I know them both well enough to know when we get you back in the gym, we're going to have to go back a few months to where we were and go from there.
Yeah.
And that's all we can do. Because, again, real world, if you're stuck in your house, you can't get to a gym, you know deep down you don't have the motivation to train by yourself, and YouTube ain't going to cut it as an instructor,
yep.
You are going to you're going to sort of tread water, if not start to slowly, slide backwards. But that's hopefully what the professionals are for. When you come along and go, hand up, yeah, you know what, I've been eating less than healthily for the last few months. Let's get this kicked off and running, and that's what we're going to experience.
Yeah, love that, Rich. In terms of that as well, in terms of when your clients communicate honestly with you like that, I know for a fact, being a trained nutritionist myself and a coach, I find that it's so much more helpful when a client is like, you know what, Josh, if I'm very honest, I haven't really done anything, but I've been eating this, and I much appreciate that. Have you found, like, with any of your clients where they haven't been very, very honest, and then it's come back to bite them in the ass, like, later on?
Oh, yeah.
In their gym. Yeah.
Oh, yes. You get some people, whether it's a confidence thing for themselves because they're either new to the relationship with a coach, once they warm up, that honesty becomes more apparent, or they just don't think you need to know certain things. The motivation for not sharing things can vary. But yeah, I mean, I've certainly had people hide minor medical conditions from me because they're like, it's private. I can understand that, but it's detrimental to your health. You need to tell your coach. I've had people just lie out their ass and go, oh no, I've been eating fine. Like, really? You went away on holiday for 3 weeks. You've got a great tan, and the belly you've got now, it can only have come from a 3-week all-inclusive holiday. There are varying degrees of it. I've had people rock up in the gym an hour late because of the hangover. I go, oh, guess what your night was like last night?
Yeah.
So it varies, but I do tend to tell everybody from the off, and I encourage it with everybody. Just be blatantly honest. I've tried to work out when I feel sick, or I'm injured, or I'm deeply pissed off, or I've been out the late night the night before. And what you do in the gym may not be productive, it may not be safe. You're far better off just being blatantly honest. I tell some people that I train later in the day because typically that's the most common time of day for cancellations. Work's gone along and you thought you've got deadlines, the kids have come home from school and one's got a bloody nose, whatever it might be. Sorry, mate, can't make it. That's the time of day where those sessions happen most often. I tend to say, right, you know what? Even if you've had a shit day, even if you've had an argument with the boss or the spouse, unless you absolutely can't make it, get your ass to the gym. Tell me why, but get your ass to the gym. I can scale down your workout. I can take you away from whatever we're doing today, and all we're going to do is thoracic mobility, core work, whatever it is that's going to benefit the next session.
Yeah.
But don't give yourself the mental kick in the ass of, I didn't even go to the gym. Ugh.
Yeah.
Don't build a rod for your own back. If we can get to the, I had one client once who took me for coffee for 45 minutes because they really couldn't motivate themselves to do anything.
Right.
They're like, I don't want to come to the gym, and can I just have a chat? And as it was, the guy's marriage was falling apart.
Wow.
He could have stayed at home or gone and sat in a pub and felt terrible about himself, and I'm not giving his name for obvious reasons, but he needed to offload because physical, emotional, mental health, it's all linked. And I was the only person who didn't know his wife that he knew. He could just sit down and go, God, this is shit.
Yeah.
And if you've been a coach more than a few months, and I know you have, you start to really comprehend that the psychology of your client is going to totally dictate the course of their program.
100%. Yeah.
Someone walks in the door and they're raring to go, and you know from the state they come through the door, this is going to be an awesome session.
Yeah.
This is going to be great. I don't need to amp them up because we are off the races the second we start. Brilliant. If they come through the door and their head's down and they're dragging the bag over their shoulder, you think, okay, right, let's get this out of you. Let's get cracking.
Yeah.
Hey, got to find the space and the spectrum in between. And as a coach, that's an important part of what you have to put into someone's motivation. You've got to train from home for a week because of the first week of the lockdown. All right, cool. Doesn't mean you can do nothing. I know that you won't do TRX squats at home because it sucks. Fine. We'll change the routine. But you've got to work with what you've got. You can't let someone just slip and slide. You've got to try and keep them moving in the right direction if you can.
Yeah, love that. Right?
I really did lose the initial question. I think that I carried on.
I love that. No, yeah. I love that. It's so easy, to go on multiple threads, and I love that about interviews that we can. It usually starts with this initial theme, but it spreads out like a spider diagram. It's pretty awesome. So yeah, but I love that, Rich. Either way. So, in terms of that as well, I wanted to ask about. You mentioned an interesting thing about one of your clients with his marriage. And I think that just goes so much far beyond just a average PT to an actual coach who is really embodying the psychology, the social aspects, the emotional health, encompassing all in one. It goes far beyond just a fitness routine or a program.